All right, today's notes will be on evaluating expressions. This is in my section 1.9 from this chapter 1 unit or unit 1. We are coming to the end of unit 1, which is exciting. All right, so what we need to do is we need to fill in the blanks, right? What is an algebraic expression? Well, it's an expression that contains one or more variables. And I should be typing this because I can type a lot faster than I can write. But you all have to write this too, so we're writing it together. All right. Remember, a variable is like X or Y or N or any letter that represents something, okay? To evaluate, we're going to substitute the variables with the given values. Then follow the order of operations, which is what we talked about yesterday. Follow the order of operations. All right, let's look at some more examples, because that's how we learn when we do our practice problems. All right, so first in these examples, they're pretty straightforward. They just will get increasingly more difficult. So we're going to evaluate each expression using the variable replacement, okay? Here is the expression 7x plus 4y. If x equals 5 and y equals negative 3, what does this equal? That's basically what it means when I evaluate. So we're going to plug in 5 for x, right? So 7 times 5 plus 4 times negative 3. All right, this is not 4 minus 3 here. Be really careful. This is multiplication. If there's a number in front of a variable, that is multiplication. If you want to put a dot, if it makes you feel better, then do that. All right, so now remember, we have our PEMDAS as our reference. Okay. So I have multiplication, I have addition, I have multiplication. This multiplication comes first, left to right. 7 times 5 is 35. Plus, well, I mean, now it's like, okay, you have addition and then you have multiplication again. This multiplication is going to come next. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Now I have 35 plus negative 12. That's going to give us 23. All right, let's look at number 2. Now I have 9a squared minus 2b squared. Remember, I'm only squaring whatever the value of a is. I'm not squaring this 9, right? And here for b, I'm only squaring b. I'm not squaring the 2. So let's put it together what we have, right? Because it says a is equal to 4. So we're going to replace this a with a 4. We're not going to forget the exponent. Be careful about that. Minus 2. Now let's replace b with 7. And let's not forget the exponent. All right, so now I have 9 times, right? Remember, this is multiplication here. 4 squared minus 2 times 7 squared. Well, I can't really do anything with the parentheses, but I can do something with the exponents. That's next on my list. So 9 times 4 squared is 9 times 16. Minus 2 times 7 squared, which is 2 times 49. All right, now I need to multiply 9 times 16. That gives me 144. And then 2 times 49 is 98. Oops, sorry about that. So now I have 144 minus 98. Put that in my fancy little calculator and get 46. And if you find you don't have enough room with the boxes provided, you can easily just grab some notebook paper next time you're in here. You can have as much as you want. I just want to make sure that, and then you want to make sure you're writing the problem number down if you need to use this as a reference when you're doing your homework or when you're taking a quiz. All right, let's look at number 3. 4m squared plus 5m. M equals -2. Be really careful. I'm going to put a star next to this one because we have a negative. It's really important we use parentheses with negatives so that it doesn't look like subtraction. 4 times -2 squared plus 5 times -2. All right, exponents come first here. -2, you are squaring the whole negative. So if you do not use parentheses in your calculator doesn't know that you're squaring that negative. Because a negative times a negative should give you a positive. So make sure you're using parentheses, okay? So this gives me 4 times 4, and then plus 5 times -2. Well, 4 times 4 is 16. Excuse me. 5 times -2 gives me -10. Now I have 16 minus 10, which is +6. All right. Number 4 is getting kind of crazy, but I see another negative, so be careful about those. They always seem to get me. All right, I'm going to keep this stuff in parentheses, but I'm going to plug in the numbers. So I have 8 times 2 minus, this minus is not related to the value of D, -4. All of that divided by C times D, which is 2 times, I'm just going to put them both in parentheses because why not? -4 like that. And I noticed what I did here is I put this -4 in parentheses, but I need to close this off again because I have this open parentheses in here that I didn't close off. So it's like parentheses, parentheses. I know that looks really strange. But let's just look inside this ginormous parenthesis and see if we can't simplify a little more, right? I have multiplication, I have subtraction. Multiplication comes first. So 8 times 2 is 16. Then we have minus -4. All of that divided by 2 times -4. All right, minus a negative, we talked about that before. When you have minus and negative next to each other, just make that a big fat plus sign. It just becomes addition. Now 16 plus 4 is 20, divided by 2 times -4. Now I have division and I have multiplication. They are equal in order. Whoever comes first, left to right, is the first thing we do. Well, the first thing that comes when I go left to right is the division. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. Now I can multiply that times -4 and get -40. Ooh, I made it all fit in the box. Isn't that lovely? Lovely. All right, again, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video and write down your work and catch up. You can also rewind if you want to get some clarification. And ask me questions if you're having troubles, okay? Let's just keep checking out these examples. Actually, no, yes, let's just keep checking these out. All right, 5 is a times b, all of that raised to the second power, minus 4b cubed plus 1. Let's replace our a's and b's with our letters. I'm just kidding, with the value. A equals 3 and b equals 2. So in the parentheses, I have 3 times 2 all of that squared minus 4 times 2 cubed, right? We're only cubing the 2 plus 1. All right, inside parentheses comes first. 3 times 2 is 6. So now we have 6 squared minus 4. Let's just go ahead and figure out what 2 to the third is, because that's going to come next in our order. 2 to the third is 8 plus 1. All right, moving along. Still have an exponent here. We need to figure this out. 6 squared is 36, not 12. Minus 4 times 8, well, that's going to come here next. That's 32 plus 1. Now I just have addition and subtraction. We're just going to go left to right. 36 minus 32 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Fantastic. All right, let's take a look at number 6. So remember, this is absolute value. These bars are absolute value. It's a measure from distance, the measure of distance from 0 on a number line. Right? And distance is always positive, even if you go backwards. You're going somewhere, okay? All right, absolute value. So let's plug in our value of r and our value of s. So it says 2 times the absolute value of negative 5 minus 3 times negative 5 times 4. All right, parentheses comes first, but this is representing multiplication, so there's nothing to do inside of each of those parentheses. Remember, absolute value is also a grouping symbol, okay? What's the absolute value of negative 5? It's positive 5. So now I have 2 times 5 minus 3 times negative 5 times 4. All right, first thing that comes left to right would be 2 times 5, which gives me 10. Then I have this negative 3 times negative 5. That gives us positive 15. And I still have this multiplication here. All right, so 10 plus whatever 15 times 4 is, get out your calculators. You should get 60. That equals 70. And I know, like, so maybe when I did negative 3 times negative 5, you were like, how'd you get 15? Well, you may be thinking, well, that's minus 3. Well, minus 3 and negative 3 are the same thing. Whatever the symbol in front of the number belongs to the number to the right, okay? Like, let's look here, this one, plus 1. Well, that meant this 1 was positive. Minus 32, that means this 32 is negative, okay? So just take your time when you're doing these and you should be okay. So what I want you to do is pause the video at this time, excuse me, substitute in the values for 7 and 8, and see if you can use order of operations to come to a solution or you know, a single value for the expression. All right, so for number 7, you should have got 55. Number 8 was 2. All right, if you didn't get those answers, try to look at my steps, okay? First, I just replaced all the variables with the values, and I was sure to use parentheses, especially for this negative 4. And then when I replaced W with negative 4 and V with 1, it was negative 4 minus 1, which is negative 5. I use parentheses because I still need to raise it to the second power. I still need to square it. So when you square a negative, if you don't use parentheses in your calculator, you're going to get the wrong answer. So negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. That's the only place I could see where a problem happened. For number 8, once you squared that 6, you need to multiply 2/3 times 36. You could have cross-simplified and said, oh, 3 goes into 36 12 times. Cross this out, make it a 12. Make this a 1. 12 times 2 is 24. Or, in your calculator, 2ABC3 times 36 gives you 24. And then it's just easy peasy after that. All right, let's look at the other side. Let's see what's going on here. All right, number 9 doesn't look so bad. Let's go ahead and evaluate this expression. First, we're going to plug in our values of C and D. So 3, oops. Oh no, not what I did. So 3 times negative 3 minus negative 3 times negative 2 plus 7 times negative 2 to the second power. Holy Hannah, there's a lot of stuff happening. All right. Oh, and I forgot to use my exponent here in the beginning. There's a 2 here. Oh my gosh, guys, don't forget to do that. Look, I almost forgot. All right, exponents come first because, yes, I have a bunch of parentheses, but there's nothing inside but a negative number. So let's go ahead and square these values here. So negative 3 squared is 9. So now I have 3 times 9 minus negative 3 times 2 plus 7 times negative 2 squared is positive 4. All right, I got a lot of multiplication. I have multiplication here, multiplication there, multiplication here, and then I have addition and subtraction. But remember, PEMDAS, you know that multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. So we're going to do that first. All right, and we do it whoever comes first, left to right. So 3 times 9 is 27. Oh, and I forgot this negative in here. Oh gosh, those negatives, they will get you, I'm telling you. Then I have minus we can go ahead and multiply this. Oh, I don't know what just happened here. We can go ahead and multiply negative 3 times negative 2 and get positive 6. And we have a plus sign. We can go ahead and multiply here. 7 times 4 gives us 28. Now it's just addition and subtraction, again, left to right. 27 minus 6 is 21, plus 28 gives us 49. Oh boy, look at this radical. This is crazy. I want to point out something to you all. This is really important. This radical goes all the way over that Q, and then it stops. So everything that's underneath, from this Q, underneath this radical, all of that has to be figured out before we can take the square root. So let's plug in our numbers. 3 times P is 3 times 10. And then Q is 14, but it says minus Q, so minus 14. So I'm just going to write that down for right now, and I'm going to put a little line here and separate because, just to mark where I stopped. So let's just figure out what this is. 3 times 10 is 30, right? And 30 minus 14, you all have calculators. You should know that that is 16. Now I'm going to bring down the rest of my stuff here, okay? So we have minus P squared. Well, P is 10. 10 squared plus P times Q. 10 times 14. All right, order of operations says exponents come first, exponents and radicals. So this radical, square root of 16, is simply 4. I still have my subtraction. 10 squared is 100. Right, and then we have our addition in between, so we can go ahead and multiply those together. And 10 times 14 is 140. 4 minus 100 is negative 96. Plus my 140 gives me 44. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked for a second. Okay, so that wasn't, it looked really bad, but just really, again, make sure you're taking your time, okay? All right, let's look at 11 and 12. These are like the problems we did yesterday for order of operations, but now we have to evaluate and we have order of operations happening. So again, we're going to take it nice and slow, just taking our time. We're going to plug in our values of A and B for number 11. So 2 times 3 times 12. All right, sorry about that. So 3 is A, B is 12. Boom, that's my numerator. Plugged it in. In the denominator, I have 7 times B, which is 7 times 12, minus A squared, which is 3, right? 3 squared. Don't forget the exponent. All of that times 12. Oi, oi, oi. Boy, this looks like a hot mess. But I will say this. In the numerator, it's straight up multiplication, straight across. So 2 times 3 comes first. So that gives us 6 times 12 on the top. And then on the bottom, I have 7 times 12 minus 3 squared. Well, that's actually going to come first, but I can do the 7 times 12 because it's negatives in between. So 7 times 12 is 84. I'm going to keep that minus sign there because that's not being squared. 3 squared is 9. All of that times 12. All right, we're getting a little closer to being simplified all the way. All right, 6 times 12, that is 72. Now the denominator, I have 84 minus 9 times 12. So I have subtraction, I have multiplication. Multiplication must come first. 9 times 12 is 108. And I still have that 84 minus in front of it, like this. All right, so we're so close. So now 84 minus 108 is negative 24. The numerator is 72. Go ahead and see, does 72, can you divide 72 by negative 24? You should get negative 3. All right, it was rough, but not impossible. I know you guys can do this. All right, number 12. All right, M is 2 and N is negative 9. Be very careful that you use parentheses with these negatives. They can be crazy. All right, so let's plug in the numerator, right? 2 to the 4th power minus 2 to the 2nd power times negative 9 to the 2nd power. Yikes. All of that over 2 times 2 minus 2 times negative 9. All right, so we got a lot of exponents up here, so we can go ahead and calculate all of those exponents together, right? 2 to the 4th power, well, you better get out your calculator, because I don't even know if I know what that is. 2 to the 4th power, I think it's 16. It sure is. So 2 to the 4th power gives us 16. And then we have minus 2 to the 2nd power, 2 times 2, which is 4. In between those is multiplication, so I'm just going to put a little dot here. And then negative 9 squared. Make sure you use parentheses. Negative 9 times negative 9, positive 81. So I don't know. See, the dot kind of gets lost. I'm going to put that in parentheses so I don't forget that's multiplication. I don't want to accidentally think that's 481. So I'm going to use parentheses. Then in the bottom, how can we clean this up a little bit? I have multiplication, subtraction, and more multiplication here. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. Remember when we have two negatives together like we do right here, we'll just make that a big fat plus sign, okay? Next up, clean up the numerator. Multiplication comes first. 4 times 81, that is 324. And I definitely wasn't able to keep this in my box. I can clean up my denominator. 4 plus 18, that's 22. So now I just need to put in 16 minus 324 divided by 22. So you should get negative 308 for the numerator. All of that divided by 22. And when I take negative 308 divided by 22, we all should get negative 14. All right. That was pretty tough, but please make sure you're taking your time, and I think you'll be fine. This is nothing new. Remember that. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to do 13 and 14 by yourselves. We'll do 15 and 16 together because we are going to substitute in a fraction. Ooh, don't worry. So pause this video, copy these problems down, use parentheses because I see some negatives here for number 13. I don't want you to get tripped up. Do not forget to square or raise to the third power like in 14. So see what you got. All right, so if you got a funky number for 13, that does sometimes happen, and I'm sorry if you were frustrated and thought you made a mistake somewhere and had to go back, but your final answer in reduced form should have been 9/11. Okay? I'm sure if you can follow along my steps, right? First, I plugged in the values, then I squared -5 and got 25. In the denominator, I went ahead and multiplied -8 times -5 and got 40. I squared -8 and got positive 64. So I ended up with 40 minus 2 times 64. Then the numerator multiplication comes first. 4 times 25 is 100. So you have 28 minus 100. That gives us negative 72. And the denominator multiplication comes before subtraction again. 2 times 64 is 128. So now I have 40 minus 128, and I get negative 88. All right, number 14, you should have got 29. Hallelujah! If you did. If you didn't, try to look and see where you made your mistakes, okay? Got to square everything. Got to cube this guy. Got to square that one. All this stuff. A lot of stuff happening, but take your time, okay? If you didn't get 29, maybe pause the video and inspect my work against yours and see if you can find your error. All right, last but not least, funky fractions. But don't worry, multiplication's like the best, all right? First, let's substitute in our values. Now I have 3/4 times C, which is 2/9, minus 1/6 times -4. All right, multiplication on this side comes first. I can cross simplify here, okay? This saves some serious time. 1 goes into 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 4 twice. Then if I cross simplify the other way, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 9 3 times. Now I have 1 times 1, which is 1, and 2 times 3, which is 6. Still have this minus sign. I'm going to go ahead and multiply here. That gives me -4/6. Right, because this is really -4/1, and we always multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and that's how I ended up with this bad boy right here. All right, I have 1/6 minus -4/6. Minus a negative, what do? You turn it into a big fat plus sign. That's what you do, you silly goose. All right, 1 plus 4 is 5. Keep that denominator. Wow, that was actually pretty awesome because I didn't have to come up with an LCD. It was not that bad. I'm hoping you're feeling the same way. But, I get excited about silly stuff. All right, last one. X is equal to 1/4. So let's go ahead and plug that in. 5 times x squared, right? So I'm squaring 1/4 minus 10 times x, 10 times 1/4 plus 3. Ooh, this could get ugly, but let's just see what happens, all right? First off, exponents coming first. I'm going to square this quotient, this fraction. We square both numbers, not just the top number, okay? So we square the 1, we square the 4. So it's 5 times 1/16 minus, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this 10 in, right, and get 10/4 plus 3. All right, I have another multiplication here that I need to take care of. 5 times 1/16 is actually 5/16, right? We just multiply the top, right? This gets multiplied here, right? Just like this got multiplied there. All right, then we have minus 10/4 plus 3. Yowza. All right, so now we have addition and subtraction, but we do not have common denominators. If you want to go ahead and put a 1 under that 3, that might be a good idea. You don't have to, but I would recommend it if you lose your place here. So we have a 16, a 4, and a 1. Well, first off, does 4 go into 16? Yep, it do. And 1 goes into 16. So guess what? Oh my gosh, the search is over. Our LCD is 16. Let's rewrite our fractions. 16 minus 16 plus the 16, okay? So now we need to make our numerators, all right? Well, the first fraction already was over 16, so that doesn't change. Then the second one, we're like, what times 4 gives me 16? Or what is 16 divided by 4? It's 4. I multiplied by 4. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So my numerator is going to be 4D, because 4 times 10 is 4D. Second fraction, denominator 16. It was a 1. What times 1 equals 16? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's 16. Whatever I do to the bottom, I got to do to the top, right? 16 times 3 is a big number. Pretty sure it's 48. So now we have this gorgeous fractions with common denominators. We can go ahead and add and subtract the top. So 5 minus 40 plus 48 is 13/16. Ladies and gentlemen, give yourself a pat on the back, shake your own hand, high five yourself, whatever you gotta do, celebrate, hallelujah. We're done with that, all right? And your homework is the worksheet for tonight, 1.9, evaluating expressions. You all should have that. It's two-sided. Take your time. If you don't have enough space in the boxes provided, please get some scratch paper, okay, and staple it together. I don't mind. And if you think about it next time you're here, take a handful of scratch paper so you have it. All right, you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.